Here's a mistake almost every new container tomato grower makes. You open a video, you see a pot, the plant looks amazing, and you copy the number. 20 liters, 25 liters, whatever the screen says. Here's the problem. That video was not filmed on your balcony. It doesn't know your balcony faces west and bakes all afternoon. It doesn't know you're at work 9 hours a day and can't water on a set schedule. Same pot size, same soil bag even, and one setup thrives while the other one wilts, or worse, tips over in the wind 3 weeks later. So the real question was never what size worked for them. The real question is what's actually happening inside that pot once the sun hits it. Because there's a heat problem building in there that no liter number will ever warn you about. Before we get into size at all, tell me in the comments. Are you copying a pot size from some video right now, or did you actually pick your own number? Stick around, because by the end of this, you'll know exactly why that copied number might already be working against you. Forget chasing the perfect pot size. That's the wrong question, and chasing it is exactly why so many container tomatoes fail before summer even gets going. The right question is simpler. How much room does this plant actually need? Right here, on your balcony, with your real watering routine? Stick with us, because we're building a 5-factor check you can run on any pot size recommendation, from any video, before you spend a single dollar on it. Society keeps handing us one magic number. Biology just asks us to read our own conditions. Why one pot size number fails? Let's start with the plant itself, because this is where most pot size advice already goes wrong. Not every tomato grows the same way. Some varieties stay compact and stop growing once they hit a certain size. Growers call these determinate types. Others just keep climbing, keep branching, keep getting bigger until frost finally shuts them down. Those are indeterminate types, and they behave like a completely different plant by midsummer. Think of it like housing. A compact, determinate tomato is a single tenant in a studio apartment. It needs enough room to live comfortably, but it's not going to outgrow the space. An indeterminate tomato is a family that keeps having kids. Same building might work on day 1, but by month 3, everyone's tripping over each other and the walls feel like they're closing in. So what does this mean for your pot? It means the first filter isn't a liter number at all. It's a simple question. What kind of tomato is this, and how big is it actually going to get by the time it's loaded with fruit? A compact cherry tomato and a full-size vining beefsteak are not shopping in the same size category, even if 100 YouTube thumbnails treat them like they are. Here's the myth we need to bust right now. Bigger pot does not automatically mean better plant. A massive container on a compact, well-behaved variety isn't giving it an advantage. It's just extra soil that has to be managed, watered, and kept from turning into a swamp. Size has to match the plant in front of you, not the biggest option available at the garden center. And here's the sanity check worth remembering the whole way through this video. Your garden is supposed to fit your life and your space. It's not your job to twist your balcony into matching someone else's setup just because their thumbnail looked good. If a recommendation doesn't match your actual plant, it was never really a recommendation for you in the first place. So plant habit is step 1. Know whether you're growing a compact type or a vining one, and let that set your starting point. But knowing the plant's size doesn't protect it from something else entirely, something that has nothing to do with how big the roots are underground and everything to do with what's happening to the container itself once the sun hits it directly for hours at a time. The hidden heat and water buildup. Here's the part almost nobody talks about when they're recommending a pot size. Volume isn't just about root space. It's also about how much punishment that container can absorb before your plant starts suffering. Larger containers generally dry out more slowly. They hold more water, more root mass, and they buffer temperature swings better than smaller ones. That's not a marketing claim. That's just physics working in your favor. A bigger volume of soil takes longer to heat up and longer to dry out than a small one sitting in the same spot. Think of a small pot like a small gas tank on a road trip through the desert. You're burning through your reserves faster, and the engine underneath is working harder the whole time because there's less buffer between you and empty. A tomato in a small pot on a hot balcony is running on that same thin margin, except the engine is a root system. And empty means wilting, stress, and a plant that stops setting fruit. And this is where heat becomes the real story. High temperatures don't just make a plant look tired. They slow root growth, they interfere with how the plant takes up nutrients, they reduce pollen viability, and they cut down fruit set. Some of that damage starts kicking in once things get into the mid-30s Celsius, and it gets worse as the root zone heats up further. This is the hidden killer we teased at the start. It's not sitting on the surface where you can see it. It's happening underground, inside the container, invisible from where you're standing with the watering can. Now, here's something worth flagging honestly, because we're not going to oversell this. Studies on other container-grown plants, things like beans and ornamental shrubs, show that dark-colored pots can run noticeably hotter in direct sun than white or light-colored ones. Nobody has run that exact experiment on a tomato pot specifically, but the physics behind it, dark surfaces absorbing more heat than light ones, doesn't change based on what's growing inside. So it's fair to treat container color as a smart precaution in a hot, sunny spot, not as a proven yield fix for tomatoes specifically. So what does this mean for your setup? If your balcony is hot, sunny, or catches a lot of wind, you're not just sizing the pot for the plant anymore. You're sizing it for the climate that plant has to survive in. That might mean going up a size from what the plant alone would need, or choosing a lighter colored container, or both. But size and color still aren't the whole story here. Because two identical pots, same size, same color, same spot in the sun, can behave completely differently depending on one thing we haven't touched yet: what's actually inside them. What's inside the pot changed the answer. Pot size gets all the attention, but the soil inside that pot is doing just as much work, and most guides skip right past it. What we're talking about here is drainage, aeration, and how well the mix holds structure over an entire growing season. Picture this. You reach into a pot to check moisture, and the top inch is bone dry, but you know you watered yesterday, or the opposite. You dig in and it smells swampy, almost sour, even though you haven't watered in days. Same size pot in both cases. The difference isn't the container at all. It's what's packed inside it. Mixes that are heavy on plain peat moss tend to compress as the season goes on. That compression squeezes out air pockets and shrinks the amount of root mass the plant can actually use, even though the pot itself never changed size. Meanwhile, a mix that stays loose and structured keeps holding water evenly and keeps that root zone breathing the way it's supposed to. So what does this mean for you? Before you blame the pot for drying out too fast or staying too wet, check what's actually in it. A 5-gallon pot with a well-structured, aerated mix can outperform a bigger pot packed with compressed, worn-out soil. Size is one variable. Soil structure is a separate one, and it can quietly undo all your careful sizing math if you ignore it. Let's go back to those two 20-liter pots from the start of this video. Same size, same label, same starting point. But one of them has a mix that stayed loose and stable all season. The other has compressed down to something dense and waterlogged, or dried into something that sheds water instead of absorbing it. That's a big part of why identical pot sizes can produce two completely different plants. At this point, we've covered the plant, the climate, and the soil. There's one more piece left, and it's the one variable that has nothing to do with the plant and everything to do with you. How reliably you can actually get out there and water. Build the 5-factor decision. Let's put it all together into one check you can run before buying any pot. 5 factors: plant habit, site exposure, soil behavior, watering capacity, and margin. Here's what that looks like in practice. Picture a compact tomato on a shaded patio with reliable daily watering. That setup can run on a moderate-sized pot without much drama. Now picture a vining, indeterminate tomato on a hot, windy, west-facing balcony where watering happens whenever you remember. That setup needs real margin, not just for the plant's roots, but for the heat and the missed watering days. And here's a third case worth knowing. A smaller pot with a reliable drip line can absolutely work, even for a bigger plant. It's just a higher management choice, not a shortcut. Most pot size advice online skips that third factor completely. It talks about the plant, maybe the sun. It almost never asks how honestly you water. That's the real gap. So what does this mean for you? Match your setup to your actual routine, not the routine you wish you had. If you're inconsistent with watering, add size and margin to cover for it. If you've got dependable drip irrigation, you've earned more flexibility on pot size. This same 5-factor thinking explains a completely different mistake growers make, one that looks nothing like pot size on the surface. And it starts with reaching for the fertilizer bottle too fast. Before adding fertilizer, check water consistency. Here's a mistake that looks nothing like pot size, but comes from the exact same blind spot. Your tomato develops a dark, sunken patch on the bottom of the fruit. The instinct is to reach for more fertilizer, more calcium, something to feed the plant back to health. The problem is, that's usually not what's actually happening. That condition is called blossom end rot, and extension research consistently points to inconsistent watering as the real cause, not a lack of calcium in the soil. When watering swings between too dry and too wet, the plant can't move calcium where it needs to go, even if there's plenty of it available. Adding more fertilizer doesn't fix an uptake problem. It just adds fertilizer. And heat plays a role here too. High temperatures can interfere with how a plant absorbs nutrients, even when there's nothing wrong with your feeding schedule. So a plant that looks underfed might actually be a plant that's overheated or inconsistently watered, not one that's short on nutrients at all. To be clear, this isn't a rule for every yellow leaf or every stunted plant you'll ever see. This applies specifically to blossom end rot and to heat-related nutrient uptake issues. It's one example, not a blanket excuse to ignore fertilizer altogether. So what does this mean for you? Before you add more fertilizer in response to blossom end rot, check your watering consistency first. That one habit fixes far more of these cases than another bottle of calcium ever will. And notice where this lands us right back at. Watering capacity again. The same factor from our 5-part check keeps showing up, because it's usually the one growers skip past the fastest. So let's bring this back to one tool you can actually use. Forget hunting for the perfect pot size number. Run the 5-factor check instead. Start with plant habit, compact or vining. Add site exposure, how hot, sunny, or windy your spot really is. Check soil behavior, not just the pot, but what's inside it. Be honest about your watering capacity, the routine you actually keep, not the one you plan to start someday. And then adjust your margin based on all four. That's it. That's the whole system. No leader chart, no universal formula, just a way to read your own conditions instead of borrowing someone else's. Here's the bigger point underneath all of this. A pot size was never a fixed fact sitting out there waiting to be discovered. It's one piece of a living system, and the best choice is simply the one that gives your plant enough room and gives you enough margin to manage what your balcony actually throws at it. Let's close the loops we opened at the start. The real question was never what size pot is correct. It was, how much margin does this plant need, right here with me? And that hidden heat problem we teased, the one no leader number warns you about, that's exactly what factors 2 and 3 were built to catch before it costs you a harvest. So before you name a pot size in the comments, tell us something more useful first. What kind of tomato are you growing? How many hours of direct sun does your spot get? Does it catch wind? And how often can you realistically water it? Answer those 4 questions honestly, and the right pot size for you will already be a lot clearer than any number from any video. You don't need the perfect pot. You need a system that fits your balcony. Run the check, trust your own conditions, and I'll see you in the next build.